So there's this lesson that I learned from Chinese philosophy that massively improved my productivity. And most productivity advice is difficult to implement. It's tough and it's boring. Whereas this is something that can improve your productivity in an effortless way, in a way that's fun, which is why it's so exciting and it's why I had to share it with you. So Alan Watts is this philosopher, and he tells this story where he was walking through the forest and this dandelion was flying around all over the place. The dandelion was going around with the wind, and he thought this was incredible. So what he did was he grabbed a hold of one of the dandelion seeds and he started staring at it. And what it looked like was that the dandelion was trying to escape. This dandelion, which was a plant, looked as if he had caught a daddy longlegs, and the daddy longlegs was struggling to get away. And he thought this was incredible. This dandelion is flying around. This dandelion is trying to actively escape my hand, but yet it's a plant, yet it can't exert effort. And this was the beautiful thing. The dandelion was flying around and trying to escape from his grip, not from its own effort, but it was using the effort created by the wind. The dandelion, in some respects, is way more beautiful than an insect, because the dandelion is moving around and trying to escape, but not using any of its own energy, any of its own effort. How incredible is that? And this story beautifully illustrates the Taoist concept of Chinese philosophy of Wu Wei, which, when I first heard about it, was described as non-action, as doing nothing, and it didn't really resonate with me. Why would I want to do nothing whatsoever? I'm a human, I'm meant to do something. But better translations actually describe it as effortless action. You see, so much of the advice that we're given, so much of the narrative of society that we are almost brainwashed by, is that things should be difficult. For you to succeed, you have to struggle, and you have to put in hard work. And we noticed that there was times in my life when I was in a self-help junkie phase that I would try and force myself to meditate every single day. Meditate. And I'd do it for a couple of days and I would fail. And I'd get frustrated at myself and I would try to meditate again and I would try to keep that habit. It always felt difficult and it never actually stuck. So many people try to stick with their diets and they use willpower and discipline to force themselves to stick with their diet. And they never end up doing it. So many times we are doing things that aren't aligned with what we want to do. It's difficult, it's tough. And even there are times that we are doing something, say for example, you're a YouTuber and you've uploaded 1,000 videos. And the advice is just to keep going, be consistent. You need to try harder, you need to work harder. Taoist philosophy and the concept of Wu Wei throws all of that advice away and it goes towards effortless action. You see, nature has its way of working, nature has its rules. And if we work against nature, we struggle. Things are tough and we don't even succeed. Our habits don't get stuck with. Even though we upload thousands of videos, we make no progress. Wu Wei says you should work with nature. Your actions should feel effortless. And if you've struggled to go to the gym consistently, if you've struggled to meditate, what you're doing is you're trying to work against nature. You're trying to work against the way that you actually are. And there were so many times in my life I tried to start businesses that just weren't aligned with who I was, and it was so difficult to get myself to stick with them. And so many times I've tried to continuously get myself to act and do things that isn't aligned with nature, so I make no progress, I make no results. Instead, we should work with nature effortlessly. Instead of being a rower on a boat, constantly struggling trying to row, we need to make a sail, and that will effortlessly use the wind's energy to make progress instead of our own energy. So if you're struggling to stick with a diet, if you're struggling to meditate, if you're struggling to go to the gym consistently, or even if you're doing things consistently, but you're making no progress, maybe that's a nature sign to tell you to start working more with nature. Instead of forcing yourself to go to the gym, how about you find a sport that you enjoy doing, where now it's effortless? If you struggle to stick with a diet, how about you put more effort on finding food that's healthy and that you enjoy? And if you're failing, even though you're putting in so much effort, maybe you need to change your strategy to a strategy that works with nature so that you can work less hard and get better results. Maybe the answer isn't discipline and struggle and to do more. Maybe the answer is to change what you are doing to be more in alignment with nature. And if you can do this, things feel effortless. If you can do this, you get into flow state. We've all had those glimpses before of a flow state where you're doing incredible work without trying. That's what Wu Wei's about. But instead of getting those periods to be 10, 20 minutes, maybe an hour long, we live a whole life in a state of Wu Wei, working with nature, without anxiety, going with the flow, following our intrinsic motivation, instead of being attached to an outcome where we're going to be anxious whether or not we reach that outcome. That, I believe, is a recipe to a good life, and implementing that myself has done incredible things for my own productivity. I believe that you can do incredible things. I believe that all of you out there can become the person that you want to become and can do the things that you want to do. And maybe being effortless, maybe working with nature will help you do those things. Hope you enjoyed.